What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Nice Catch Podcast. We're here to catch you up on all the latest football news and analysis. I'm Baden.
And I'm Hank. Today, we'll be catching you up on all the NFL headlines and college football headlines, including Indiana's continued run and the Cowboys' continued fall off, as well as continuing our trend of the bottom 10 and top 10.
Yes, sir.
It's going strong. I'm liking it. And we're going to be doing the order a little bit different today. So we're going to start with the bottom 10 and top 10 and then go into some headlines afterwards so that we don't give you any spoilers, because that in the headlines we can kind of elaborate on what we've talked about with the trade deadline, some rising teams and falling teams. But we'll save those to the end so that our bottom 10 and top 10 can be a total surprise.
Exactly.
So, Baden, you want to start off the bottom 10? I can start off the top 10.
Yes, sir. Sounds good to me. All right, starting off with number 10. This is a big one. I have Anthony Richardson pulling himself out of a game, a close game, a division rivalry game, because he was tired. I am not a professional football player, but that just seems... It seems like an effort thing. You know, last year he played a few games and he looked good. It looked very promising. And then beginning of this season, you know, he's out a lot. And he comes back, and I'm sure Colts fans are ready. They're excited. I personally was excited to see Anthony Richardson play. And he wasn't playing well, and then he taps himself out because he's tired. And, of course, that leads to him getting benched the next game. Did Joe Flacco take over that position well? We don't have to talk about that right now. But Anthony Richardson that was just sad to see. I just think that's an effort thing, and definitely worth the bottom 10.
100%. And yeah, that was a very strange thing for me to, like, a professional football player should have the conditioning to stay in a whole football game. Yeah. Even if you are this mobile guy who likes to run around, like, if you can't just stay in a game, a close divisional game, you're going to get benched at best. If you weren't a fourth overall pick, you would not be on the team anymore.
Yeah. But
this is a very surprising thing to come out because Anthony Richardson had been playing well when he was off and on playing well. And so it's definitely a sad trend and what looked like a promising career. Hopefully we can, maybe a Justin Fields kind of thing coming back on another team. But, yeah, that was a very strange headline, one that I did not expect to see.
Absolutely not.
Number 9, this one kind of flew underground because he wasn't a huge name, but he was a name that I'd followed for a long time with his college career. Starting at Coastal Carolina is the retirement of Grayson McCall. He this season was a transfer from Coastal Carolina, played at NC State, and had a terrible head injury after several other concussions at Coastal Carolina, and this one caused him to retire. And lots of respect for him on that, knowing that there's something more than football, just realizing that now's a good time to hang up the cleats, especially if he likely wasn't going to be an NFL starter.
Yeah.
But sad to see a story like that end in a tragic way, where one play ends it all, ends your time on the field in an unexpected way. His days at Coastal Carolina were always fun to watch. Led them to a season undefeated until losing to Georgia in a bowl game, running the Sun Belt in those days.
Yeah.
So sad to see, and wanted to give Grayson McCall a shout out there because he's someone that I don't think gets enough love for the conference that he's in. But
and that takes a lot of courage. There's obviously other people in that decision, but to take that decision to step away and to think on a broader scope, that takes a lot of courage. So a lot of respect to that.
100%.
Number 8, Dak Prescott, going along with the injuries. First off, I just have written down Dak Prescott. No, I don't. I have Dak out. Never mind. But the whole Falcons game was rough. But then adding on to that, Dak being out, a few weeks, definitely. That is a substantial loss. The Cowboys weren't performing as well as they would have liked anyways, but that just, I think that tanks it from what I see. And so be thinking of him, but also like for the Cowboys, that is a huge, huge downer.
100%. Yeah, Cowboys weren't playing well anyway, but with Dak probably going on IR, doesn't help. Maybe a tank for Ashton Genty at this point, but yeah, definitely a downer on the Cowboys season, kind of just a take to reality now. Or Cooper Rush is going to earn himself a starting spot next year.
Hey, maybe.
But probably not on the Cowboys with how much the Cowboys are paying Dak. But definitely not as many quarterback injuries this year as there were last year. Last year we saw Kirk Cousins being out, Joe Burrow being out. In this season there's Dak Prescott now with a semi-long-term injury, Deshaun Watson being out for the season. That's about it.
Yeah.
So going better this season quarterback-wise. Wide receiver injuries, though, are another story.
Overall, other positions, bad. Quarterback, good.
Yes. Number 7, I'll cover this one so that Baden doesn't have to, is the Texans.
Yeah.
They were a perennial Super Bowl pick of mine. Will there still be? I don't know. You have to wait to the end. I may surprise you there. But they're playing the Jets on Thursday night. And Thursday night, this season, it's where wild things happen.
Yeah.
Last season, if you were depressed and just needed to watch a football game, Thursday night may have not even helped you.
No. Might make it worse.
It might make it worse, definitely, because there was not a lot of good football played there. This season, we saw Kirk Cousins throw for over 500 yards, and we saw Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams on the Jets beat C.J. Stroud and the Texans, who don't have an offensive line anymore.
Yep.
And, I saw people say, well, Bryce Young's looking at C.J. Stroud struggle without an offensive line and star receivers.
Yeah.
And that kind of is the story. Whenever you don't have an offensive line or star receivers, it's hard to succeed, and that's the place that the Texans are in.
Absolutely.
And these next few weeks do look a little dark for them if they can't turn it around with the injuries they have, especially that they weren't active on trade deadline. I expected them to trade for an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
But with no action there, it's going to be an uphill climb to be a Super Bowl team again. I think it can happen with their coaching and with people getting healthy, hopefully. But they definitely earned themselves a bottom 10 spot after a loss to the lowly New York Jets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a rough one. For number 6, I have the Michael Thomas and Derek Carr situation. Derek Carr seems, I don't know him personally, but he seems like a very likable guy, very respectful. And Michael Thomas, who isn't playing for the Saints at the moment, was just going after him. And, I guess I could put sneaking into a top, a good thing is the way that Derek Carr handled it. He was very respectful. He, invited Michael Thomas to reach out to him. He said, my phone number hasn't changed. You have it. But definitely just seeing NFL players, especially players from the same team, and a quarterback and wide receiver, just that chemistry not being there, and just the disrespect and the hateful comments, that's just negative for football in general. It's negative for the NFL. It's negative just for the sport. And so it just sucks to see things like that. Mm-hmm. So it seems like, it's simmered down and kind of resolved, but I'm hoping that situation will go away and we won't see a lot of just negativity and kind of catfighting like that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Not only is Michael Thomas not on the Saints, he's not in the NFL, period. He had that Offensive Player of the Year campaign with Drew Brees, and after that got injured and kind of fell off.
Yeah.
He's someone that I could see a team picking up if they're desperate. But yeah, he's a free agent, and so I feel like that's where the most hate comes from. People like Michael Thomas, people like Des Bryant, who are on their couch right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's sad to see. Number 5, touching on what Baden mentioned a minute ago, is the Dallas Cowboys. Not only is it a bad season, now it's worse because of all the injuries. They started out, Deron Bland getting injured preseason, Micah Parsons injured, DeMarcus Lawrence injured. And in this past game, CeeDee Lamb injured, although that doesn't seem like it'll be a long-term thing. And Dak Prescott probably going on IR. Not looking good. Already wasn't looking good. Before the season, I said I would be surprised if the Cowboys won a playoff game. I put them at around this 7 seed, maybe just miss, maybe sneaking up to 6. But at this point, I would be very surprised to see them make the playoffs. They just look like a bad team. In the past, the Cowboys have had the roster to win a Super Bowl, but not the performance. This year, they don't have the roster to do well, even despite the injuries. And so the Cowboys, they probably should have been on the bottom 10 way before this week. But this week, they finally earned it. This is the week where they're finally bottom 10 worthy. There is not much hope of a season for the Dallas Cowboys as of now.
Yep. Number 4. And, if you're a Chiefs fan, then it's not a bottom thing for you. But I think just for the rest of the NFL, the Chiefs' undefeated run continuing, and just constant close games, especially as a guy who has been rooting for the Buccaneers, see them lose in overtime. Patrick Mahomes gets the coin toss, it's pretty much over with those overtime rules. And so the Chiefs, they're obviously playing good enough football to stay undefeated, but it's not like they're playing amazing football. This isn't the best that we've seen the Chiefs, by far, but they're undefeated. They keep winning. And so, it's scary because if they're undefeated right now, playing football that isn't their best, if they do get into the groove and they start playing their best football, that could be pretty scary for the rest of the NFL. So that's on my bottom 10. Just they're continuing to stay undefeated, just not losing a game while not playing amazing football.
Yeah. The Chiefs have been winning by an average of 7 points per game, which, according to this article, is the smallest margin of victory of the 41 teams in NFL history that have won their first 8 games. So they're winning. But as you said, it's close games.
Close games. Bless you. That's not right. I don't know.
But it's because of their defense. Mahomes isn't playing well. His stats are about the same as Daniel Jones' stats. So if you want to make fun of Daniel Jones,
make fun of Patrick Mahomes.
There's Patrick Mahomes. And so the Chiefs have won. It's respect to them. Yeah. They know how to win despite Tyreek Hill. Despite not having Tyreek Hill, as we saw last season, and despite not having really any good wide receivers. Yeah. Obviously, they trade for DeAndre Hopkins now. But it's a wild team. It's wild the success that the Chiefs are able to have despite any adversity, really. Yeah. Or in spite of whatever adversity comes their way. Mm-hmm. Number 3, I have another bad team. Not the Texans, not the Cowboys. In the state just to the east, I have the Saints. They had started out really well, and some hasty reporters put them at number 2 in power rankings at that point in the season. I was not quite willing to do that.
Yeah.
Although I did a little bit buy into the hype, but they're bad now. There's just no way around it. They have lost 7 straight. Their head coach just got fired, which didn't surprise me. Not performing well. 2 of their great wide receivers are injured. Rashid Shaheed is out for the season, and Chris Olave just got a concussion. It's like, after the first 2 games, after dominating the Cowboys week 2, which was a huge upset at the time, now they're both kind of bottom of the barrel teams, bottom 4 in the NFC. But, man, as a Saints fan at this point, I don't know. You're looking what Sean Payton's doing with Bo Nix and how he's performing pretty well as a rookie. And you may just want Drew Brees back at this point because Derek Carr's not playing awful. But, man, 10 years ago looks really good right now as a Saints fan.
Yeah.
And a Patriots fan. But they were supposed to be bad, so they don't.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about
They're just meeting their expectations.
Yep. For number 2, my number 2 is just a stat line, okay? This is the most losses through any amount of seasons as a starting QB. Through 4 seasons. Oh, and if anybody doesn't know, before Derek Carr, his brother David Carr played for the Texans for 6 seasons, I think. And so just keep that in mind. Through 4 seasons, the most losses through 4 seasons, David Carr. Most losses through 5 seasons, David Carr. 6 seasons, David Carr. 7 seasons, Derek Carr. 8 seasons, Derek Carr. 9 seasons, Derek Carr. 10 seasons, Derek Carr. 11 seasons, Derek Carr is tied with Archie Manning. That is not a great stat line, especially for 2 brothers to carry through 4 through 11 seasons the most losses as a starting QB. I think that stat line speaks for itself as to why it is on the bottom. And I think with that, we'll move to number 1, Hank.
Number 1, I'm not going to dwell on this long because I still have not come to terms with it, but what is claimed by many to be the biggest upset in Division II history. And I did not want to talk about this in the podcast.
We thought we already talked about the biggest upset in Division II history.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a couple weeks ago, just an episode ago.
Yeah,
but we're talking
last
about
episode, my number 1 on the top 10, very lighthearted. My school just beat the defending national champions, and then somehow, in a way far beyond my knowledge, I mean the team that Ouachita played was 0-8 Southern Nazarene University, and they came in and they played really good football, and they knocked off Ouachita, who was number 3 in the country, and it wasn't like Ouachita handed them the game. Sure, there were miscues and other things like that happen to everyone. But I was worried going into the game, not that it would go this way because I didn't expect that, but the overconfidence of people around Ouachita really worried me. Senior night, you're playing an 0-8 team. It's just the perfect trap game. It's the perfect game to look over and say, let's look to our arch rivals right across the street in a few weeks. Let's look to the other OBU and that rivalry that is. And so you overlook this 0-8 team, and they come in, and it comes back to bite you. And I want to give props to Southern Nazarene University for playing a really good game.
Yep.
But it's worth being on the bottom 10 because it's tough.
It hurts.
I didn't want to talk about it, and I couldn't just put this in the top 10 because as it is a top 10 for Southern Nazarene, as a student of Ouachita, it's got to go in the bottom 10.
Yeah.
Because I've seen, Texas A&M, my D1 school, just got upset to South Carolina. But to call me a fake fan, I kind of expected it. South Carolina has a really good defensive line. They've played really good football this year. It was going to be a hard environment to play in. But didn't see this one coming. And I did not realize how emotionally tied I am to football until after this game. So let's move on to the top 10. And you started the bottom 10, right?
Yes.
So I'll start this one. Before I start, normally we just do 5. I just have to give an honorable mention to this. Actually, no, I won't give an honorable mention. I'll just move that to our other headlines and talk about it later.
Perfect.
So, number 5, Trayvon Walker's first NFL touchdown. This was a crazy fumble return touchdown for the former first overall pick. And watching the replay, I don't totally understand how this happened because Saquon fell on the ground and then the ball popped out, and it was weird with he wasn't contacted but he kind of was. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go and watch the replay because it's not like anything I've ever seen. We'll talk about something else Saquon did that it's not like anything we've ever seen in a second. But got to give props to Trayvon Walker. Going into the draft, I really thought Aiden Hutchinson was going to go to the Jags #1 overall. At this point, looks like that probably should have happened, but it's good to see former top-tier picks finally performing to the place where they've been supposed to perform.
Absolutely. All right, number 9. We have the rapidly growing headstand celebration. We saw it first at, you said, Incarnate Word?
Yep, Incarnate Word, small school in Austin, Texas.
Somebody did it, and then from then on you have Drake London, I'm pretty sure, scoring a touchdown and doing a headstand. And then last Sunday had Amon-Ra St. Brown scoring a touchdown and doing a headstand. I mean, it's an interesting celebration. It's a bit odd, but I love it. It's really funny. And as a little kid who used to do headstands, I can respect it. No, but it's just a lot of fun. It's just fun seeing just them having fun, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's fun seeing them have fun.
Yeah.
And the headstand celebration is it's goofy, and it just kind of shows a lighthearted side to the sport. And so I love it.
Definitely. Yeah, I was practicing for flag football for my intramural team earlier today, and one of my friends caught a ball and then did a headstand.
Oh, yeah.
And tried to do a headstand. I mean, I can't make fun of it because I didn't even try to do a headstand. I knew my limits. But, yeah, it's funny how that's just sweeping over the NFL is a headstand celebration that was started by a small school in FCS.
Yep.
Number 8, I'm giving college football some love in my top 10. And this is one that a team that's gotten a lot of press in the past few years, partially for good reason, partially for Taylor Swift-like reasons. But I got to give Colorado some love. They're number 21 in the AP poll right now, and they're tied for second in the Big 12. They have a legitimate shot to make the college football playoff this year. If they win out, which they don't play BYU or Iowa State in the rest of their games, which are the top few teams in the Big 12, and I don't think they play Kansas State either, who did lose this past week, but is still stats-wise probably the third best team in the Big 12. And I mean, obviously Deion Sanders and his son and Travis Hunter have been in the spotlight quite a lot these past 2 seasons. But if they can beat Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State, then they have a good chance to make it to the Big 12 championship. And if they can beat BYU, who looks like they'll be the other team at this point, we could have Deion Sanders in the college football playoff.
That would be cool.
It'd be wild.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Number 7. The Titans trades just excelling on other teams than the Titans. We have Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry was phenomenal on the Titans. But, the last couple years weren't the best. He goes to the Ravens, and he is genuinely feared. Absolute powerhouse. And hitting insane speeds and just having some crazy runs. Move on, you have obviously A.J. Brown on the Eagles. A.J. Brown didn't do much on the Titans. You get him on the Eagles, and he is one of the top receivers in the NFL. Move on some more. We have DeAndre Hopkins now. DeAndre Hopkins scored his first touchdown, which we'll talk about, but he played amazing last game, and he was a driving force on the Chiefs' offense. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what it is about the Titans, but they're like the in-between. You go there, and when you get off, then you start playing great football. No, but I don't know, those trades. If you're looking for a good player, just look to the Titans.
Yeah.
See if they'll trade for you.
Hey.
But so that's good to see for those players, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be able to continue their seasons and be successful, just on a different team.
Yeah, my Titans' take of them being a playoff team and Tyjae Spears being a top running back has not looked good.
Great.
I feel it for them because they had the potential. Mm-hmm. Their defense is really good. They are statistically the best defense in the NFL with yards allowed, which really surprised me because points-wise, they've been a pretty bad team. But when you look at Week 1 against the Bears, I think is a perfect representation of their season. If they punted the ball every time they had it, they probably would have won.
Yeah.
A lot of their points were from pick sixes, fumble returns. But, yeah, hey, former Titans players are playing really well right now.
Yeah.
Number 6, in the ACC, SMU. They're number 13 right now after winning a big game against Pitt last week. And they're tied for Miami for first in the ACC, which is wrong. SMU should not be in the ACC. I mean, they should not be in a conference called the Atlantic Coastal Conference.
No.
And, I mean, neither should Stanford and Cal. But that's just so wrong that, whatever. Sure, whatever. Be in whatever conference you want to be in. But, like, really? A team in Texas being in the Atlantic Coastal Conference? I don't know. I just don't like it. But SMU's playing really well. And an SMU-Miami ACC conference championship game. Showed that to someone 5 years ago. Like, mind blown. The world is upside down.
I would not believe it.
Yeah. Like, wait, where's Clemson? Clemson? Where's Florida State? Well, there's... we know where Florida State is.
We know where Florida State is.
They're below the bottom 10.
Yeah. Nowhere near
Yep.
top 10. For number 5, I have, following along the same lines, hate to repeat, but just being more specific, DeAndre Hopkins scoring his first touchdown with the Chiefs and just playing good football. DeAndre Hopkins, and take it with a grain of salt, I'm saying this as a Texans fan, but with his time on the Texans, he was arguably one of, if not the best receiver in his era. I mean, he was insane. And it was really rough seeing him, he was good for a season on the Cardinals, but he just didn't have the same kind of, he wasn't playing the same kind of football. And then going to the Titans, I thought he probably would be done this year. But now, and I don't know what this means. We're only one game in. But now he goes to the Chiefs and he's playing impactful, really good football. And so that, I don't know what that means for his career. He's definitely getting, I would say, to the end of the line. But this could expand another season, depending on how the Chiefs finish out the year. He could go another season. He could go a couple more seasons. Mm-hmm. So that was big, and I'm really happy. It's hard because I don't love the Chiefs. I don't necessarily want a three-peat. But it's good to see players doing well. Mm-hmm. And so I'm happy for DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah. Maybe the reason the Chiefs traded for DeAndre Hopkins was to give everyone who doesn't like the Chiefs a player to root for on the Chiefs. Like, there's no one on that team that you're like, this guy needs a ring. There's guys in the NFL like Myles Garrett. Yeah. Myles Garrett's got to get a ring before he retires. Mm-hmm. But DeAndre Hopkins is on that list. Like,
absolutely.
He's a player that, with a ring, his legacy is already cemented. But with a ring, wow, his legacy is even better. I was thinking earlier today of all of the blank miracle plays. Like, it's the Minneapolis Miracle or the Miami Miracle or the Music City Miracle. I think of all of the nickname plays, the Hail Mary is probably my favorite. And so, even though he didn't do that much in the Cardinals, he has that play.
He has that play.
He has
absolutely
that one.
Catching a Hail Mary solo against, 4 people? Mm-hmm. 5 people? 5 defenders?
Yeah.
Insane.
The whole team.
The whole team.
Yeah. Even if the whole team was around him, he still would have got it.
He still would have brought it in. Have you seen? This is off topic, but have you seen all receivers you gotta have, but like DeAndre Hopkins' hands are massive, like uncomfortably massive.
Mm-hmm. Let me look up DeAndre
Hopkins'
hand measurement.
Hand measurement.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins' hand size, 10 inches. This site, Sporting News, lists his hands at XXXL hands.
Triple X hand size.
And for wide receivers who already, wide receivers' hands have to be huge. He's in the 86th percentile for wide receivers. So he's crazy. He's such a good player. And even though I don't really want a Chiefs three-peat, he gives me something to root for over there.
For sure.
Number 4.
4, yeah.
I got the Garrett Wilson catch. This was a game that wasn't supposed to be a good game. It was supposed to be a blowout. And it kind of was, but by the other team. But you have Devontae Adams scoring, but you also have Garrett Wilson scoring in a Michael Jordan-esque way.
Yeah.
He may have made a new Jets logo with that catch. Or at least a new fan favorite Jet logo with an insane touchdown catch and some other crazy plays in that game as well. But
absolutely, that catch,
got to recognize it. Give Garrett Wilson his props. Great player. Good to see him getting back on track. He's going to be a key if the Jets do make a push for a wild card spot. Garrett Wilson has to be a key part of their offense, because he can do stuff like that. We back George Pickens, and George Pickens is a guy who can do stuff like that. He's going to get better stats now with the Steelers also having Mike Williams, speaking of Jets receivers. Mm-hmm. So Garrett Wilson's going to have more volume, and George Pickens is going to have better matchups. So, hey, it helps both these guys.
Exactly. It's good. For number 3, speaking of just insane athleticism, you have the Saquon Barkley hurdle, the reverse hurdle, the backwards hurdle. I've seen every angle that I've been able to see on this, and it's just insane. I mean, the awareness and the athleticism and if you cut out the hurdle and just looked at everything before that, that was insane too. Mm-hmm. I mean, just his quickness, he's juking people out. He hits it wasn't necessarily a spin move, I guess it kind of was, and his back is to the defender, and he just jumps over him. I mean, it was insane. I think I saw an angle from behind the Eagles sideline, and the Eagles sideline lost their minds, as they should. I mean, the athleticism is insane. And, I mean, on the Giants, we saw that. Mm-hmm. You can see it. Saquon Barkley is an athlete, and he is strong. I mean, jumping that, what is he? He squats like 800-something pounds. So, I mean, yeah, he can jump. But that was just – he created a new move. We haven't seen that before. I don't think so. Mm-mm. So, Saquon, we need to name that hurdle after Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
We'll start a petition to name it the Saquon hurdle.
Yeah.
The Barkley hurdle.
Oh, it's going to go down in history as that. I mean, I think of viral plays, and there's like Garrett Wilson's catch this past week was really good. His catch week 1 of last season against the Bills, where he kind of bobbled it in the end zone. That was pretty viral. Other plays like Lamar Jackson's spin move, his first MVP season against the Bengals.
Yeah.
OBJ, I mean, that's like at the very top. But like past 10 years, I think Saquon's backwards hurdle has to be a top 5 viral moment of the past 10 years.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have the Hail Murray, which we mentioned, some other stuff like that. But this is as you said, he created something new. Like, this has never been seen before.
Yeah.
And we're gonna give him credit for it forever.
Yeah. And a hurdle is difficult enough. A hurdle with your back to the defender, like doing the splits in the air, it's crazy.
I doubt we'll ever see it again. If someone tries it, it's going to backfire, and we're going to have someone to make fun of now.
Exactly. Will Levis. We'll see Will Levis with the reverse
backward hurdle. Oh, that would be funny. Number 2, more love to college football. I've given love in the Big 12, given love in the ACC to 2 teams who were not supposed to be good this season, or at least not this good. In the Big 10, Indiana continued dominance. This past game against Michigan State was the first game they've ever trailed this season. And Michigan State scored 10 in the first quarter. Indiana scored 0. The rest of the game, Michigan State scored 0. Indiana scored 47. Indiana's closest game this season was a 14-point win. They have not won, or all of their games they have won by double digits. At this rate, there's a very good chance for the Big Ten title game. Remaining schedule. Excuse me. The remaining schedule: Michigan, one game that I'll talk about in a second, and Purdue. Those are both very winnable games. The game in the middle of that, Ohio State. And that's gonna be a big game, because Indiana's number 8 right now. Ohio State's number 3, or number 2 in the college football playoff rankings from earlier today. If Indiana beats Ohio State, the world may just, I don't know what would happen with college football. Like, Indiana's a basketball school, and they have a very good football team, a top 10 football team, and this is a team that's been dominating this season, and a great story. Someone who just hasn't been good in a long time. New head coach, just new. I mean, the fan base, like the Indiana football fan base, is now a thing. Mm-hmm. And man, it's a fun bandwagon to hop on, because if Indiana makes it to the playoffs or wins a playoff game this year, it's gonna go down in history. It could turn the tides for Indiana football forever, maybe.
Absolutely. For number 1, I have the Washington versus Bears game. And first off, I think that we saw number 1 and number 2 prove why they were drafted number 1 and number 2. Not necessarily in that order, but they proved why they were drafted in the first round. Why they were the 2 best quarterbacks in the draft. That game came down to a shootout. It was an amazing game. The quarterbacks really showed out, and that's a big game if you're one of those quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. You're either showing, this is why I'm number 1, or you're showing, I got picked number 2, but maybe I should have been number 1. That's big. And, I mean, Caleb Williams played excellent. Jaden Daniels played excellent. Mm-hmm. And I will say that, I mean, the Hail Mary, just finding that, or I guess making time, getting that throw down there. We can talk about the Bears' defense, not being all in it, a defender looking at the stands when the play starts going. But Jaden Daniels is an athlete, and he has a chance to really turn the Commanders around, which he's doing right now. Not has a chance. He's currently doing that. We'll have to see how the season ends out. But he's playing excellent football. And I don't know. We'll have to remember how good everybody's memories are. But when we, at the beginning of this podcast, talked about our draft profiles, our draft predictions, I don't know if anybody remembers, but I said I'm pretty sure that Caleb Williams is going to go number 1, but I think it should be Jaden Daniels. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure glad that Jaden Daniels went to the Commanders. He's a perfect fit there. They're doing great. But also, I think that we're seeing that Jaden Daniels is showing, I could have gone number 1, and maybe should have gone number 1. I mean, he is playing excellent football. And we saw that showdown between the Bears and the Commanders, and Jaden Daniels just showed out. He came in there and he played football, and I thought that was an awesome game. And I'm really excited just in the future to see how Jaden Daniels progresses and what the Commanders do, because that's another team. I mean, we haven't seen them be good in a long long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see them, have a chance at the playoffs this year, a good chance at the playoffs this year, and, I don't see them as a Super Bowl team, not even an NFC Championship team, but, maybe. I don't know. They could do really well this year. And so that's pretty cool. But, yeah, that game was a really cool moment between the two top picks in our 2024 draft. 2023 draft?
2024.
2024, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That was a wild game and definitely deserving of the number one spot. And yeah, Jaden Daniels held the ball for over 12 seconds before he threw it, which is the longest since the next gen stats era, which is the past few years. But wild game, and the trend of the number 2 overall pick turning his team around when we see with CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels doing it too with new head coach, new ownership, new starting quarterback. Kind of the three. Well, if you want to look at the team, you look at the starting quarterback. If you want to look at the one bubble outside of the team, you look at the coach. If you want to look at the thing as a whole, you look at the owner. And in each of those bubbles, you're starting over, and it's going really well. I love how their new owner brought in these people like Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Who's like someone who understands how sports works. Kind of the owner realizing that I know a lot, but there's other guys who I can bring in who can help me in this still. Having the humility to do that, and it's working out. He's turning a franchise around. Imagine if the Cowboys did that. Anyway, let's move on to some headlines. I like the way that we kind of covered a lot of the headlines there and didn't have to worry about spoiling stuff.
It was a good order of things.
What I wanted to touch on before we go into some teams that are falling, some teams that are rising, and some deals at the trade deadline, I just want to say that Kennesaw State is now the best team in Georgia because what happened to be their first ever FBS win came against undefeated Liberty, and we talked about an upset that was maybe even bigger than that a second ago. But anyway, first ever FBS win comes against Liberty, and they're the best team in Georgia at this point because Liberty beat East Carolina, who beat Old Dominion, who beat Georgia State, who beat Vanderbilt, who beat Alabama, who beat Georgia. So Kennesaw State is now the best team in Georgia.
The best team in Georgia.
Yeah, because that is how football works.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Kennesaw State, if they didn't fall into these 5 trap games, or maybe 7 trap games other than their one win, then they would win the college football playoff.
Yep, exactly.
Because that's how football works. Anyway, today was the NFL trade deadline, so let's talk about just some trades that happened. There wasn't anything wild today. Last season, it wasn't right before the deadline, but you got the Christian McCaffrey trade in season. Mm-hmm. And you look at other in-season trades that have happened recently. And there wasn't anything huge.
Or 2 seasons ago.
2 seasons ago, you're right.
McCaffrey.
DeAndre Hopkins is a big name. There wasn't anything just wild or insane that happened today. But a move that I like a lot was Zadarius Smith. Goes from the Browns, who've been sellers at the deadline this year because they're not going anywhere this season. And they realize that they're not willing to part with Myles Garrett, which makes sense. I think he's someone you want to anchor your team. But Zadarius Smith, you let him go to the Lions, who lose Aiden Hutchinson for maybe the whole season, at least till late in the playoffs. And so just lets them continue their absolute dominance.
Yep.
And that's a move that I like a lot. One move that I found confusing, though, is the Cowboys trade, not for a running back or an offensive lineman or a backup quarterback like Gardner Minshew or Bryce Young or Andy Dalton, but a wide receiver named Walter Mingo. They give a 4th-round pick in exchange for Walter Mingo from the Panthers and a 7th. Walter Mingo was drafted ahead of Rashee Rice and some other good players in that draft. But he's not getting playing time on the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys gave up a 4th-round pick. Sure, they got back a 7th, but I don't know. Maybe Jerry Jones sees something in this guy. Maybe their draft grade for him was so high, and they're like, wow, giving away a 4th and getting a 7th for this guy is still a steal because we know what he can do. Maybe that's possible. Maybe. But really?
Yeah.
Like, we saw Khalil Herbert get moved today. I liked that move. Zach Moss being out for the Bengals. The Bears not really using Khalil Herbert with DeAndre Swift in their team now. Why did the Cowboys not trade for a running back?
Yeah. You
have the worst running team in the NFL. And you have an above-average passing defense or passing offense with CeeDee Lamb and $240 million quarterback Dak Prescott, who is on IR.
Yeah.
And you trade for a wide receiver.
Yeah, it's like, is it, just take it off the Cowboys, is it a bad trade to go for a young, underutilized, athletic wide receiver? No. Is it a bad trade to do that when you don't have a run game or an offensive line? Yes.
Yeah.
Like, take it out of the situation, it's a decent trade. Put it into their situation where your passing game is good. It's all right, at least. And you don't have a run game. Why do you go for a receiver?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, that just seems, it doesn't, I agree, it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And to put on top of that they gave more, if I'm correct, for Mingo than they got for Amari Cooper.
Yes, that is.
So that whole deal seems to be a little rough.
Definitely a little rough. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the Cowboys are the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
I let my hopes get up at the end of last season with the Cowboys getting the number 2 overall seed in the NFL, or in the NFC, and then getting blown out by the Packers. And after that blowout loss, I was like, all right.
Time to rebuild.
Yep, it's time to rebuild. And then the Cowboys signed Dak to the biggest NFL contract of all time. And he goes on IR his first season there. So it's going to be a 2020 kind of season for the Cowboys again. 2020, losing Dak. You started 4 quarterbacks, missed the playoffs. It's going to be that kind of season.
Yep. But, just sticking with the trades, we saw Marshawn Lattimore get traded.
Mm-hmm.
Good move, I guess.
Yeah,
it's going to be sad not seeing the Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore matchup any longer. That's going to be rough. Football fans, that's a big rivalry there. It's always, I don't know if fun is the right word. I guess fun to watch. We saw, I can't remember if we talked this on the podcast or before, but Mike Williams from the Jets to the
Steelers.
Steelers.
We mentioned that
we
briefly earlier.
We mentioned it, yes. That's a trade that, that's a good move. Like you did say earlier. It helps the receivers on both ends. It helps both teams. That's a pretty even trade. So, yeah, I just thought I'd mention those two off the top of my head. Those are the two that I got right now.
Yeah, definitely. Those are big ones. And the Marshawn Lattimore trade just shows how the NFL is today. Like, literally, players want to be traded to the Commanders. We've never heard that before.
No.
And that's where they want to go now because they see what's happening in Washington, D.C. or Landover, Maryland. And they're like, I want to be there.
It's a new age.
It's definitely a new age. Steelers also traded for Preston Smith from the Packers to boost their rush defense. Their pass rush. Like, you have T.J. Watt, you have Alex Highsmith. Just add to that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll change my AFC Super Bowl pick to the Steelers because they look really good right now on paper. I'll talk about that when we get to our Super Bowl picks. So, any other headlines besides the trade deadline and what we covered in the top 10, bottom 10 you want to cover before we talk about just kind of the landscape of the NFL at the moment?
No, I don't have anything on my mind particularly.
Good stuff. Well, before we wrap it up and get to our Super Bowl pick, I want to real quick talk about just the landscape of the NFL, some rising teams and some falling teams. I just kind of have three of each to kind of show what teams are moving what direction. Falling teams, Cowboys, Saints, and Buccaneers. We talked about all three of these, well, the Saints and the Cowboys, but the Buccaneers too. Baden, you backed them a lot. Heartbreaking injuries, and we saw them lose to the loss to the Chiefs a few days ago, and I don't know where they're going.
Yeah, it's not fun to see. You know, a lot of talent on that team, but just through all the injuries, and I mean, the Buccaneers, tough schedule. And yeah, just I was really backing them, and I love Baker Mayfield, love the team, but I don't think that they'll be able to get to where I was hoping and what I thought they would be able to. I definitely, I think Super Bowl is out of the question at this point. Playoffs are looking more difficult by the day. But there's no but. Yeah, like you're saying, that's a team that's just slowly starting to fall, and it's sad because I think they're very likable.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's difficult.
Definitely difficult. They're 4-5 on the season right now, and so as you said, playoffs are not out of the question, but definitely looking grim. Normally, their division has been one that if you're about at 500, you have a shot at, and it still technically is that case. But the Falcons are looking good this season.
Yeah,
they're 6-3. Kirk Cousins is putting on a really good season, as well as their defense. I mean, trading for Matthew Judon. That was earlier in the season, so we forgot to mention that earlier. But they're another team with a new head coach that really looks like somewhere players want to go. As for rising teams, I mentioned the Falcons, but the three I have down that I think are even past where the Falcons are. The Lions, who they were risers last year, but rising even more. The Commanders, just blowing people out of the water. Whoever predicted them to win the NFC East is really showing their cards right now. Just really great prediction. And the Steelers. The Steelers are performing very well this season. People looked at them. Last season, I said the Steelers are a Super Bowl team if they have a quarterback. This year, they don't have the quarterback. With Patrick Mahomes, they may be the best team we've ever seen.
Yeah.
But Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, whoever's in there, is looking really good. And they look like a Super Bowl team, maybe. Can I say that?
I think you can.
I don't know if I want to say it.
I'll let you say it.
It's wild. Like, the Steelers are a team that deserves to be above 500 more than just one game this season. Or more than just one game above 500.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, other than that, let's wrap it up with our Super Bowl picks.
Super Bowl picks. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'm still praying over mine.
All right, then I'll start us off.
Please, Baden, let me just fret over all of this and say, what is the AFC like?
Me and my dad were talking about this, or texting about it just yesterday, and we came to the conclusion that as of right now, our Super Bowl pick is the Lions beating the Bills. Lions-Bills. I think if there's a team right now that can take down the Chiefs, it's the Bills. I think the biggest thing for the Bills is going to be getting past the Ravens. I think if they get past the Ravens, I think Bills Super Bowl. Or Bills Lions, but I just don't see anybody right now in the NFL beating the Lions. Lions Bills Super Bowl. You heard it here first, folks.
This is so hard to make a Super Bowl pick because it's in the NFC. It's the Lions. Right now, the Lions are far above everyone else. It would be anyone beating the Lions is an upset right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have that one loss, but a great win streak right now. And they are looking like a really, really good team. I've talked about Dan Campbell and their coaching, Ben Johnson and their play calling on the offense. All of it is just amazing. Jared Goff is playing out of his mind overall right now. Their wide receiver core, their defense, all of it, so good. I have them winning, but who's going to represent the AFC?
Yep.
Oh, I like the Bills a lot. They're so inconsistent. Their game against the Texans, their opening drive, they looked like a Super Bowl team. They looked really good. And then the Texans won.
Yep.
The Texans, I've been backing them for so long, but their offensive line, I don't know if I can get behind them still. The Steelers, can they bring back Ben Roethlisberger days and continue this dominance with someone like Russell Wilson? Can Russell Wilson pull a Tom Brady?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can the Chiefs actually three-peat or at least get back there a third time without any wide receivers past DeAndre Hopkins with one of the best defenses in the league? Chiefs, Texans, Steelers, Bills. Right now, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say Lions over Steelers.
Lions over Steelers.
That was a last-minute change, guys.
I just saw him delete what he had and write down the Steelers. I respect it.
Man, that was an emotional roller coaster.
I can feel it.
The AFC, obviously you have the Chiefs up at the top, but can they make it in the playoffs? I don't know. And then you have the Bills and Steelers at 2 losses, the Texans, Ravens, and Chargers at 3 losses.
Yeah.
My problem with the Steelers, they've beaten bad teams, but they've lost. No. Yes. And their losses, they lost to the Cowboys, who are not a good team. And then the Texans lost to the Jets.
Who are not a good team.
Not a good team. If the Chiefs can stay undefeated the next 4 weeks, I'll put them as my Super Bowl pick, maybe. Because they have a gauntlet these next 4 weeks. But the AFC is going to be wild. It can be anyone there. It could be the Chargers. It could, for all that we know right now. It could be the Broncos are 5-4, which is not great, but they're a playoff team in the AFC right now. The Bengals are 4-5. If they not win out, obviously, because that's just highly unlikely. But if they perform very well the rest of the season, the Bengals could make it back. Anywhere under that, the Jets may take a miracle. They're 3-6, but they look to be uphill, on an uphill trajectory. But the AFC's wild.
Yeah.
And I think that's a wrap for us.
I think that's it. That's all I got, Hank.
That's all we got. So, hopefully you like the new bottom 10, top 10, the way we do it. Well, if you have an opinion, hey, leave it in the comments.
Sure.
Let us hear what you think. If you have, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl in the AFC? Let us know in the comments. I'll put a poll down for y'all. But thanks for listening to the Nice Catch podcast. If you love football, continue to tune in each episode from the off season all the way through the playoffs. This is the Nice Catch podcast.